we should be recording.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, just a reminder to everyone, this meeting is being recorded. So this is your chance to jump off if you're not interested in being recorded. This is the Agent Gateway community meeting for July 29th of 2026. I believe the first thing that we do is have any new members or people joining this call introduce themselves. If folks are interested, if they feel comfortable coming off mute to do that, or they can add like a little introduction in the chat if they're more comfortable. People a sec.
Hey, yeah, I'll just chime in real quick.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Zach. Work for AWS. Actually, see a couple of familiar faces from my time at IBM. So, we've met before. Yeah, interested in learning more about Agent Gateway. We're doing some exciting stuff at AWS with Agent Gateway. So, excited to learn more from the experts.
Awesome, great to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Zach.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll take that as a no for now, but if you change your mind for later, we can come back. All right, I didn't know if I was supposed to populate the issue burn down, but I did not, or at least call out specific issues. But I'll first talk about any follow-up action items that we have from the previous meeting. I followed up with Keith. I think he had an action item to follow up on this issue here that we discussed. And I think that has been now resolved. I followed up with Keith, so I think that's been resolved. So we can mark that as completed. And then, yeah, 1.4 was released, unless I'm mistaken. So now we have the 1.5 milestone. So let me go ahead and open that. I didn't know if we want to go through these. I mean, I think there's only a few. I mean, this one is a PR rather than an issue. I think this is the only one that's maybe not assigned, but it looks like there is a PR related. So it looks like all of these have owners. Is there any additional issues that we typically, or that we're looking to add now, or do we just kind of add them as we go?
Yeah, I would say, it's a good point to make here in the meeting is, right, this is how we prepare for releases, right? So we track releases via milestones. And so if you have an issue that you're really hoping to include in the next release, 1.5, please reach out and let's get it added to the 1.5 milestone. But otherwise, as Jackie pointed out, here's all the work that we're doing for 1.5. There's no guarantee that all of this is going to land in 1.5, or no, this is the.
Yeah, I went back and showed 1.4 to see what made it through, but I'm guessing there's more stuff that was included in the milestone that maybe wasn't labeled for the milestone. Maybe these were just explicitly labeled and called out. Yeah, but for 1.5.
Yeah, and you bring up another good point in the sense that when we do get to a release and close out a milestone, if there's issues, PRs that didn't, issues that didn't get fixed in that particular release, or PRs that didn't land, to fix those issues, then we punt those typically to the next release, unless we feel as like a community, like no one's assigned, we're not seeing any traction, then we'll just pull it off of a milestone just to try and reduce the noise.
Awesome, makes sense. So do bugs typically also land in the milestones? Or depending on the severity?
Yeah. And so those would typically get prioritized. But again, no guarantee that the bug, even if it's prioritized, is going to get fixed on the milestone. Right? This just allows us to try to organize our efforts and for releases and surface those out to the world, so people can see what we're working on for a particular release. Right? So releases are surfaced as milestones, right? And we try to put a date on those milestones. So you can go and see when the next release is scheduled and the work that we're doing for that particular release. And again, no guarantees, but at least gives us some organization and a way to communicate that what we're working on to the rest of the world.
Cool, makes sense. And I think Art commented in the chat about for more detailed what was included in previous milestones releases. You can go to the Agent Gateway docs. Yeah, this is pretty thorough. This is a nice summary. Cool.
Did anyone have any questions about kind of what we covered with release milestones and how we kind of manage the releases?
Or anything you're hoping to see in this milestone that you don't see right now?
Hi, team. This is first time I'm joining this meeting. I had a couple of questions. Might not be related to this milestone, but do we have any plans to introduce agent identity blueprint in Agent Gateway?
Could you give a bit more background? I just think in all these AI things, there's so many terms that maybe people.
Okay, sure. Okay, should I wait for to complete this topic and then I can start with mine, or we can just start discussing on it?
I think you're good.
Yeah. I think we can dive in.
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I am from Uber working on agent identity from last 3 years, and we are actually actively looking on the open source standards, what we do, how we do. So the background context is each agent execution is unique in itself, right? It's not like a workload that 1,000 instances are same at all. So I was researching more on the Microsoft side, and I learned a very good concept of blueprints. Basically, each agent execution would be a relationship between parent and child. Parent would be blueprints which you can manage. Let's say John wants to create an agent and he wants to give specific access to all executions of this specific agent. So you can attach permissions at your parent level, which would be agent identity blueprint. And Jackie wants to run that agent. So she will create out of the box, agent execution would be created as a child relationship to the parents, and all the permissions would be inherited. And on top of it, Jackie can introduce more permissions which she wants for her specific agent execution. So yeah, this was my overall idea. And yeah, and in Uber we are trying a lot of such things to make agent identity simple as much as we can. So yeah, that's all. Open to comments and feedback.
Yeah, thanks for the overview. I think that was helpful, and welcome to the community. I'm glad I could get you the right meeting URL. Sorry about that earlier. I would say, like in general, like to answer your direct question of is this on, I think you asked if this is on the roadmap or plan. I wouldn't say that this directly is something that's being currently worked on. I think that probably in a general agentic setup where you're trying to solve this problem, Agent Gateway could play a role there, but it's also not the only component involved here, right? Like Agent Gateway is the gateway, right? So we don't provision the identity. That would be kind of up to you. Our role would most likely, I mean, it could be different, but most likely would be authenticating and authorizing based on that identity. So I definitely think there's some interplay here, but I don't think there's any. This is my first time I've seen this blueprint specific from Microsoft. So definitely not something we're actively pursuing right now, but I think it definitely fits in the scope of what we're trying to solve with the project. So.
Oh, okay. So let me go back and read more on the Agent Gateway, how it handles identity. Then it might be a good strong case how we can introduce if we want to at all to use it. Because I feel like authentications closely relate to how agent gateway accepts the identity itself, like on what standard it expects and where we can do better. So just my thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. One thing as well, someone in the community, Christian Posta, has done quite a lot of stuff. You said you're from Uber, right? He's worked with Uber actually on some of their identity stuff in the past. He's not on this call, but he's very strong in this area. I can put you guys in touch as well if
Yes.
you guys want to discuss more. He's been doing a lot of agent authentication stuff.
Sure.
Sounds good. I'll connect you guys.
And Gaurav, since we're not going to be able to kind of resolve this topic in the meeting, I think it's good if we don't already have an issue created for you to open up that issue. And then, as John mentioned, we can tag Christian on it and kind of continue the discussion there. And if the discussion goes on, we could even loop that back into next week's agenda.
And I have a question. Are you specifically interested in like Microsoft's like blueprints and specifically that way of representing identity, or is that just one avenue that you explored or one kind of example of agentic identity?
Yes. Basically one example. So most of my work right now in Uber is on the authentication side. So I'm actively reading what other big tech MNCs are doing. So this was a unique thing which I learned about Microsoft, that they are introducing a concept of parent-child on the agent, and that is helping them.
Okay, I've worked with those teams, but I'm definitely no expert in in blueprints. Oh, sorry, I cut ahead of Zach. Sorry about that, Zach. Go ahead.
Oh, please. Yeah, feel free to finish your thought. I'll go after.
No, that's good. Go for it.
Yeah. So I raised my hand because I'm also working on similar problems around agent identity. I'm kind of curious, like if agent gateway is not the right place to mint the identity, is this a better topic to be taken up at like the Istio meeting? Because I believe this would go in like Z tunnel maybe, or like the Istio control plane.
I would say it depends. Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, you go ahead, Jackie.
No, it's okay. Go.
I think it might depend. Like, I don't know that Istio is necessarily going to provision agent identity like this. Maybe it could. But like, this is something I've seen in more like the agent frameworks, like agent substrate, K-agent. So I'm not exactly sure. I mean, there's overlap in all areas. But that's like, at least for like the people that I've been working with, generally we're talking like agent framework and then integrating on the gateway.
Yeah, I think I was gonna make the distinct. I feel like Istio, it's great for like the transport, like security, but maybe not the best. Maybe not intentionally representing the identity within like the workload to workload communication. It's not for provisioning those type identities, but for securing the transport or the communication or traffic, but not for provisioning the specific identity for actors, agents.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Mhm.
I
Ganesh?
want to just highlight like agent identity. I mean, we are also working on the similar concept actually, but we have registered each agent as a intra-credential, like client credential, like it has a different identity for each agent. We have registered as a Bedrock as well as we also have something on Azure, but this is I think agent gateway is not something will help here, right? So it's like identity within your infra. Each agent will be having the credential and what can do and all. And top of that, when any request comes from maybe I'm maybe wrong, but like in any agent request, right, it will go to the gateway to the validator, right? Whether it grant or deny the request. But yeah, it is not normally we have registered in cloud like each agent in CMDB and everywhere. So it's like it's individual identity altogether. probably that might help. I don't know.
That's a good call out.
And I would say, as I mentioned, Gaurav, if you don't mind creating an issue for this, and anyone who's on the call that's interested in this issue, if you could maybe do us a favor and just throw your GitHub ID here under the topic, and then when the issue is created, we'll make sure that you're CC'd on that and you stay in the loop with how this progresses.
Cool. Any other topics? Or anyone want to share more about how they're exploring Agent Gateway right now? Oh,
Hey,
Yordish, hi. Go for it.
sorry. Okay, so here's the mess that I'm at. I need to figure out how to showcase Agent Gateway when I am forced to use Agent Core from AWS. And yeah, I need some directions on it. So maybe what I'm trying to do right now is just to leverage the runtime, because I think that's the most insecure part that we have, and point back to the Agent Gateway for all the MCP and all the proxy calls and so on. But like, I don't know. I don't know if somebody have done anything around the topic.
Sorry, what was the runtime that you mentioned, or was it?
Agent Core, AWS, the Agent, all the Bedrock Agent Core stuff that they're trying to do. They also have the name of Gateway. So obviously now people are like, okay, there's some overlapping. I'm like, yes, but configuring one versus the other one is not even close to be actually something that is at the same level. And I think like I fail personally to showcase Agent Gateway in that realm. And the tricky part for you guys is they use the, well, who's liable for any issues, right? So at that point I was like, all right, I cannot do anything about it. AWS is liable for the services, the agent, Solo in this case, like it wasn't even in this conversation as an agreement. So yeah, so now I'm in this between make Agent Core stuff to work with Agent Gateway, hopefully showcase it so we don't replace the whole thing, because there's a lot of stuff that have to manually be done. So maybe somebody have done something around it, or I don't know.
Carlos, I was thinking about you. Please go ahead. You probably have some interesting perspective on this.
Yeah, so I know I knew one or two things about AWS. So definitely Agent Gateway can be integrated with use cases that use Agent Core. So Agent Core has many, I would say, capability departments, right? So when you say Agent Core, maybe you're referring to harness mode, runtime mode.
Yeah, the runtime, no harness because we're not using that, but it's runtime gateway and the guardrail that you already integrate with as well.
Yeah. So there's an MCP, an MCP gateway in Agent Core, but it depends how you want to integrate or pass down the different identities. There's also an Agent Core identity. So the TRDR, it depends on your architecture. And Christian Posta have done some posts and they in LinkedIn on how to do the on behalf of through the MCP gateway, and then Agent Gateway is just a downstream. So one simple example, right? You have an agent in Agent Core, and maybe you want to go through the Agent Core MCP gateway to take advantage of the guardrails and the semantic search and those things. And then what sits behind that MCP gateway is maybe some infra that you're running Agent Gateway. And it could be like, I don't know, I like ECAS and like API Gateway, right? So you have Agent Gateway, K Gateway there, and maybe you have Easter. So that entry point with that request will come with enough identity authorization that the Agent Gateway can handle it. So I don't know if that's your use case or not, but that to me, we are using like Agent Gateway is using open standards, right? Even like recently in the 1.4 they introduced the JTAG exchange or squeaky cloak and things that can do the exchange of like on behalf of with cross app or without cross app. So I'll stop there because it becomes like a solutions architect discussion, but it depends.
Okay, so it's not that crazy for me to try to make it work. Then at least that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, like I said, Carlos, I have some of the answer for what you're saying, but even myself right now, I'm trying to undo everything I did and figure out whatever Edulez does to
Yeah,
go back to.
jump in me in Slack in CNCF or Discord, and we can have a short discussion on what you're trying to achieve or like what you're trying to undo or do. And then I can help you with at least guidance there.
Yeah, and the second part, which is somewhat related to this situation, but I'm more curious from like overall how I'm supposed to answer this in the future, is that when somebody comes and say, okay, who's liable when something goes wrong? AWS, Bedrock, all this product versus Agent Gateway. I don't know how to answer that. Wait, am I here?
Yeah, you're here. Yeah,
It's
Yeah, so like, and I know it's,
life. That's like anyone that works in a, I guess, managed cloud provider that runs. I have that situation a lot with ECAS. I don't know if you're running ECAS or not, but maybe not. But people ask me like, if Keycloak is not working on ECAS or Agent Gateway is not working on ECAS, it's the responsibility of AWS to help you figure out and fix the bug. I was like, no, right? So those type of open source usage are well known, but I can also help with that in terms of like, if something goes wrong, yeah, I can give you guidance of like that RACI, it's called RACI, right? Responsibility matrix on the shared responsibility of things.
yeah, I just bringing it up because like, obviously I want you guys to succeed and I love the product, but you know, this is where like, okay, I don't have the skills for this. Like
Yeah.
I'm just a builder.
The thing I can say in this meeting is, and then this is recording, right? The key aspect is observability, right? So if you have, and for agentic workloads, the primary, for better or worse, you can debate, I'm an old guy. Tracing is the thing that tells you what went wrong or not wrong. There's a camp that says there's sampling, there's a camp that says debugging, some that there are metrics, but in terms of having good visibility of even at the get-go of having tracing of like you're tracing that request from a person in the phone in the street to that container CPU. I have tracing languages, and Agent Gateway has everything is standardized in OTel. So you can have all those OTel traces go to a single OTel place with either OTel collector or CloudWatch. But Agent Gateway can send those traces, and then you put them together through your AI gateway, your MCP gateway, your other downstream services. And that way you can have a whole full picture of like, and people do it lately for latency and token consumption and cost. But in your case, you want an SRE troubleshooting, RTO, an RPO. So that also is useful for that. Like, sorry for the long answer.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And like, you, who can I contact about the? I see the enterprise link, and eventually I found that, you know, let me reach out about that. But who should I contact about whatever the enterprise offers? Although I cannot promise any.
Solo, yeah.
The Agent Gateway Enterprise, yeah, you can contact us at solo.io. There is a contact page that we can follow up. If you have trouble, just reach out to me or John. That would work too.
No, I bothered John already, even too much. Or John might be. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you.
Okay, if you're done with this topic, I just want to pick up John's brain on the issue I had, just so everybody knows. Basically, I was trying to do some canary routing with MCP server, and by default, I believe Agent Gateway has a stateful configuration for all the requests. So I don't think canary routing would actually work in this case because we don't always stick to the same backend between like multiple versions. So the canary of 90% to 10% ends up to be maybe 80% goes to the 90%, and maybe just a few percentage goes to the 10%, like 1 or 2%. So is this intended? I think, John, you mentioned this might just be what's intended because it doesn't go very well with canary and session and stateful session.
I think it's at least mostly intended. Actually, now that I think about it, so I still don't fully understand what is your server. What is it actually doing with sessions? It just ignores them.
Okay, so, yeah. So
It's fully stateless.
So I have two server. One of the server
Yeah.
just does like an echo, which is very simple. The other server is also very simple. It's basically find out the session information and print out, is this the first time this particular client reach out on the session, or if this is the second time. It's kind of like a great, the caller on how many times you've reached out to me on this particular session.
Okay. Yeah, that's sorry. I thought that I was wrong, but now I'm back to my original opinion. So I do think that this case is intentionally unsupported because basically the problem is that there was a fix around this recently, is that you have two distinct groups of backends and you have a session, and the session needs to tie you to a backend. Because the issue that we had before was that you could switch which backend you were connecting to across the session. And that would allow you to bypass the authorization rules for that other backend because the authorization rules are tied to the backend. And so that was a major security issue. So, I mean, I think that workaround I gave you of making the split downstream of the MCP is probably the way to go, even though it's a bit awkward to configure.
Yeah, I think the workaround would work. The only concern I had with the workaround is the change will be a little bit bigger than what I would like, right? Because essentially I'm starting with my configuration with version 1 of the multiplexing backends, and then I literally had to kind of switch the version 1 endpoint to a new endpoint on agent gateway on a different port. It's not a problem if the MCP server is just a tool call without any session, but it would definitely causing problem with sessions.
Yeah, I think you're running into issues because you're mixing the old and the new, and the old spec, like it's just doing weighted traffic with the old spec is just not good. So like if you had a setup where both the servers were on the new spec, then I think it would probably work, but you're in an awkward middle state with a mix between the two.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just a transition problem. I agree.
Yeah.
Is there an issue for this? And this is something that cannot be done with the HTTP route API and API gateway. Is that not respected when you put percentages between backend refs?
The problem is that you have a session, and now you're going to backend A and then backend B on every request. And so like you can configure it, like you said, it's just that it doesn't work because once you go to the different backend, the session is unknown because we tied the sessions to a specific backend. So you can't go bring the same session to different backends.
Probably worth a documentation issue, right? To document that if you're using K gateway with HTTP route with percentage, it's not going to work as you think it might, because just a mistake-less, right? In this case, there's a stateful connections routed.
So Carlos, you said there's already doc for that in K.
No, like
you just observe that.
No, because K gateway supports HTTP route, right? And HTTP route, that API at the API gateway level supports weighted. And you can put 90% this backend ref, and then 10% this backend ref. So that if you configure that, that will not work. I'm guessing that you're not using API gateway, you're just using straight agent gateway, right?
Yeah, I was using standalone. I think the challenging is more related to like stateful set, stateful configuration with MCP, which is the default configuration with agent gateway.
Yeah. This would be also another solution. I'm saying that is the ideal solution, but eventually with the new MCP spec 728 and being stateless, these type of things go away, or you still
Yeah,
need
I'd imagine, like John said, I think this is a transition problem during migration. Once you are migrated, you no longer need to, I guess, John, are we flipping the switch of that stateful configuration? Because right now the default, I think it's a stateful, the stateful mode is stateful, but are we?
Yeah, the stateful mode only applies for the legacy connections. If everything is on the modern, it has no impact.
Okay, so but regardless of what's the default,
Yeah,
won't
so
have-
as long as you have all your servers are modern, then it will, yeah, it doesn't, what you said there is irrelevant.
Okay, that's it. That's good to know. So yeah. So Carlos, this is really a transitioning problem as we move into the new MCP stack with the agent gateway from their MCP server.
I think that's a good use case. I mean, even I'm having an example that shows with the new MCP spec, how do you do canary deployments, right? And using stateless, making sure your MCP servers are updated and do stateless.
Yes, totally. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to do. I'll send you the examples. I should be able to get them out pretty fast. I was just trying to see if there's a better way to do this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you're interested too. That was the goal, because I think everybody looking at moving to the new MCP, they will think about, how do they move gradually, if there is a way to move gradually.
Yeah, and the reason I'm interested because I'm working with a colleague on a pattern on the flip side on using Argo rollouts to roll out 2 agents or 2 MCP servers, right? And then there in front of them there's agent gateway. It's still with Argo rollout support, right? So how do you do a simple Argo rollout of 2 MCP servers, V1 and V2, when the agent gateway is sitting in front, right?
Yeah, that should be pretty transparent to you because the Argo rollout supports the gateway API.
Yeah, that's why I was referring to the HTTP routes.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, totally on that point. If you're connecting with Argo, definitely recommend the gateway API.
Yeah.
Lynn, I might have missed this. Is there any follow-up needed to create an issue, either to track the need to document this more or any fixes that are needed?
Well, it sounds like there is no fix. I am actually going to produce some contents related to this, so I will share when I get them published to you and to the team here.
Okay, do we need is there no fix by design, so we don't need an issue? Was that the conclusion?
I think so. That's how I took it from John and the discussion here. And it's a transition problem only as people were migrating from the November spec to the new spec.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. I tried to look it up in the docs and I couldn't figure it out. Like I'm trying to add the Spice CV for the authorization. So I'm using the hook that you have, right, for external authorization. Do I supposed to be passing to make a point like the Slack channel or whatever type of information through the claims? Is that the idea? To make it all the way to the authorization engine? Or
So you want to connect to an external authorization server and get the user identity, basically?
yeah, so imagine that I have a Slack or whatever thing, right? And I want to pass obviously who sent the message, but also the Slack channel, things like that, to the authorization engine, because in there I have all the permissions set up. So I couldn't figure out how it's supposed to be passing the Slack stuff. I assume will be in the claims, in the utility or something like that, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about like Slack specifically in terms of what they offer, but in general, you should be able to pass any metadata you want to the engine. And so a jot claim is a very, very common one. You can pass just the claims and have the authorization server trust it and do the verification in the gateway, or you can pass the raw jot and it can do it. But you can also extract anything from the request if it's a header or part of the path or whatever. Those are all definitely possible.
Okay. Yeah. The security team asked me that everything be encrypted all over the place. So every time I put something in the header, it's like, how can I trust this? Or cryptographically trust.
Yeah, definitely. If it's not, yeah. I'm just not sure like the flow of Slack, so I'm not sure what info is available, but.
Okay.
Yeah, seems like something, if you do figure it out, maybe you could share on the Discord. Just a cool note for other people trying to do something with Slack as well. Cool. Anything else? I forget, is this meeting a half an hour or an hour?
It's 30 minutes.
Great.
So
Okay.
yeah, we should probably start to wrap things up.
Okay, awesome. Cool. I think we've noted that action items are the one that we have here for the agent blueprint or identity or just general agent identity topic. Cool. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, look forward to seeing you in the next meeting.
Thank you, Jackie, for running it.
Oh, yeah, we
thanks,
need to pick
Jackie.
the next host. I think.
Anyone interested? Yeah, is anyone interested in hosting next week's meeting? To raise your hand if you'd like to, or speak up.
Yeah, this was my first time hosting, so
Yeah.
if anyone was curious what it's like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Art, I didn't notice that. Was that you raising your hand, or was that a clap? I missed that.
I was applauding Jackie for hosting her first meeting, but I can also be the host next week.
I think it was a
Oh,
great
cool.
volunteer opportunity.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Art.
I should have known.
Wow, that's
Happy to do
amazing. I wrote it down just so we don't forget.
Yeah. And if we did
Perfect.
miss any action items, feel free to add an action item to to the meeting notes. Yeah, thanks again, Jackie, for hosting the meeting. It was a great meeting.
Yep, no problem. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we'll catch you online. Bye.
Thanks. Have a great day.